Wendy Ramshaw was a London designer who had a prolific 50-year career in the field of jewellery and larger-scale architectural metalwork projects for urban settings, such as gates, screens and street furniture. Asked to nominate her favourite book, Wendy chose 3: Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, The Castle by Kafka, Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. She said, "Later I realised my choices had different plots but a similar theme. The heroes suffer from frustration as they make determined efforts to make sense of the world they live in." Ramshaw's determination to make sense of her world resulted in her designing and making some of the most exceptional jewellery of our time. Wendy was a natural collaborator, with a fascination with both art and industry. She remembers being taken to see the Festival of Britain exhibition in London as a 12-year-old in 1951, and that sense of the designer as an important figure in society through their work in both art and industry was perhaps born then. In the early 1980s, she made a rare, in jewellery terms, and fascinating connection to the Wedgwood ceramics factory to develop a range of porcelain, silver and gold jewellery. Some of these designs were later shown at her solo exhibition at the V&A Museum in London. The 3 cones necklace illustrated graced the front cover of the exhibition catalogue and was worn by the artist to the opening. It was recently acquired for the Goldsmiths Company from the Scottish Gallery in Edinburgh, who remain an important gallery for her work. Wendy remains one of only 5 jewellery designers who have had solo exhibitions at the museum in this field, all of them women. The connection to the V&A remained an important one for the whole of her life. The museum commissioned her to design a screen for the private dining room in the 1990s, and they also acquired her wedding dress for the costume collection, shown here, which was designed by Ramshaw herself for her 1962 wedding to David Watkins. Her most well-known works, however, are her sets of gold and silver rings with multicoloured semi-precious stones mounted on turned perspex and metal stands. These range from simple 3 or 4 ring sets to much more elaborate constructions. The first of these won a Design Council Award in 1971, and examples of many can be found in over 80 art and design museum collections around the world, and thousands of private collections globally. The Dream, a 40-ring set, was the dazzling centrepiece of works created in response to portraits of women by Picasso, entitled Picasso's Ladies. The blue and yellow agate ring set, now owned by the National Museums of Scotland, was from this same series. Wendy was born in the shipbuilding town of Sunderland, and most of her family were seafarers and master mariners. Her lifelong interest in man-made structures began here with visits to Sunderland Museum and its collection of seafaring instruments. "I love," she said, "the beauty of man-made structures. Buildings, cities, planes and ships are no less enthralling than a honeycomb or an anthill." This confidence in the creative power of the human is part of the gift that Wendy gave to the world through her art and her life. Years later, she returned to her hometown of Sunderland when she was commissioned to make a pair of gates for Mowbray Park there. Her interest in technological invention and precision instruments can be seen in this Vision neckpiece, which explores the decorative effects of coating metal with nanocrystalline diamond, a technique originally evolved to keep sharp edges on surgical instruments. And when this piece moves when you handle or wear it, you get wonderful light effects, rather like the purple-hued shimmer of oil on water. Wendy was a lifelong subscriber to New Scientist and was always exploring new materials in her work. This unusual pair of white gold perspex cubic zirconium earrings from 1995 were part of a suite of jewellery commissioned by a private Japanese client to celebrate modern materials of the millennium. Wendy's first training was in textiles and illustration in Newcastle. and I think this developed her sense of pattern and colour in how she used semi-precious stones, and another medium of great importance to her, enamel. She did design one knitwear collection in the 1980s, which was the subject of a show at the Prinseshof Museum in Holland. And sometime later she designed a tapestry with the renowned Dovecote Studios in Edinburgh. Printmaking and jewellery studies followed at Reading, where she met her jazz musician sculptor husband David Watkins, who worked on model making for the film 2001: A Space Odyssey with Stanley Kubrick, and then on to Central School of Art. Her jewellery career launched with Something Special Limited, a paper fashion jewellery collection that sold all over the world, including London's Carnaby Street. Silver collections were commissioned for Harrods, and a first art jewellery exhibition was held at the Pace Gallery in London in 1970. But returning to the stories, one mustn't forget how important the characters from the Alice in Wonderland books were, and they recur often as a theme in her work, such as in this 1975 ring set, The White Queen, owned by and on show in the Jewellery Gallery at the V&A Museum. She used to hand-colour the wonderful Victorian Tenniel illustrations as she sat on her mother's knee as a child. Another example would be the Room of Dreams project, first shown at the Scottish Gallery in Edinburgh in 2002. An extraordinary theatrical red and white stage set, all designed by Wendy, from furniture to walls and flooring, filled with hundreds of different jewels. This work is now on loan to the permanent collection of Birmingham Art Gallery from a private collection, though it is not currently on show. A particular work from the room, The Red Queen, a dazzling garnet and gold set of 40 rings on a dyed and turned aluminium stand, is now in a private collection in England. There were other stories in the Room of Dreams too, particularly Shakespeare's The Tempest. One of the key characters from this play appeared in a later work, Prospero's Table, a magical installation of sea glass, gold, coral, now in the collection of the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston. Drawing remained central to Ramshaw's life, a constant thread that linked designs for jewellery and later gates and other architectural commissions. Sometimes her drawings moved very directly into jewellery, such as the Drawings in Gold project that she showed at the Bluecoat Display Centre in Liverpool. In 1999, Hypothesis, an adventurous gallery in Barcelona, produced a beautiful book, which is well worth tracking down if you can. But drawing also had a different role for her, through which, in her words, she dreamed the possibilities of the world, imaginative freehand sketches, such as this one, where the artist has noted all her favourite things: Alice in Wonderland, a teacup, a pair of favourite boots, her cat. She continued drawing up to the end of her life with a fabulous and fantastical collection of teapot drawings, which she often sent as postcards to friends.